Anchor yourself in one habit and trust what's yours is already on the way to you. In this episode, we dive deep into the power of small habits, the magic of trusting life's timing, and how shifting your mindset can unlock and create meaningful change in your life. Now let's get into the episode.
Welcome to the Manders Mindset Podcast. Here you'll find both monologue and interviews of entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, and a variety of other people, where your host Amanda Russo will discuss her own mindset and perspective and her guest mindset and perspective on the world around us. Manders and her guests will help explain to you how shifting your mindset will shift your life.
Welcome back to Amanda's Mindset. I'm your host, Amanda Russo, and I am here today with Megan. And Megan is fulfilling her lifelong dream of owning a real estate brokerage and being managing broker. She's an asset to the community with her abundant, transparent, and professional approach to real estate. Aside from helping agents reach their dreams and making sure her customers' needs and goals are met or exceeded, she loves to spend time with her family and animals on her farm. She is a sixth-generation native with a passion for helping people and real estate agents reach their highest and best self through real estate. And Megan and I connected by touching upon Rachel Hollis and how she's helped us progress further into our development and healing journeys. And we're going to touch upon that and all of Megan's story. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad we could get this on the books and done, and we were able to connect.
Me too. So that's an awesome bio, but who would you say Megan is at the core?
Oh man, fiery. Yeah, I was reading that. I haven't heard the bio read out loud. I was like, man, I definitely edited that well. I'm glad I took the time in that piece because I usually don't write like that. That was good. I'll need to just have me reading it now. For now I've got it covered, and now I've got an audio, and I'm off to the races.
So you say you're fiery at the core.
Yes. I just think that things can be done. Like, I don't know. I feel like fiery in like an incurable optimist sort of way, but also, and the fieriness can sort of get you into trouble as well. I've found in my life, but yes, fiery in both of the sense, good and bad.
I like that things can be done. You know, like there's a way to figure everything out. Yeah. You know, I read a book that I loved called Everything is Figure Outable. And I say that all the time, you know, like there's a way to do the thing, whatever the thing is, even if plan A, B, C, D doesn't work, there's E.
Every time, as long as you're still alive and breathing, you can execute, create, or make or any plan you want. You can do anything, you know, and if you can think of it and imagine it, then it is possible. So yeah, absolutely.
I love how you said, as long as you're breathing. I'm a breathwork facilitator, and something I always say is, as long as you have your breath, you've got options. Once you stop breathing, that's when you don't have options. Everybody chuckles at that. But if you're breathing, you've got all the options in the world. If something's not working, breathe into something else.
Yep, absolutely. And don't stay places that you feel like you don't need to stay, even through obligation. I feel like that was where I was a lot in 2019. I had built a life that was sort of the obligation piece. I met and married a man that my family approved of, but I never even asked myself. I didn't even know what I wanted. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Now, before we get into 2019, can we backtrack a little bit? Can you take us down memory lane? Tell us a little bit about upbringing, your family dynamic, childhood, however deep you want to go.
Yeah, I, like in my bio, I'm sixth generation to Colorado. My kids are 7. I grew up in Aurora and Parker area. I graduated high school a year and a half early. I got into sales right away. First off, I was working under the table for the Vietnamese restaurant locally, and I would sell their sauces at the farmer's market, and I killed it. And I got a job when I was 17 after I graduated high school, straight commission, selling hair straighteners at the mall. If you're from Colorado, Park Meadows Mall, which is a brutal sales job. You gotta like get him down. She's like, you'll be really good at this. And then I got that job. And once I figured out sort of like the freedom that you had when you could control what you made, I liked that a lot and figured that I would get into sales just in general. So I worked kind of kiosk sales for a while, and then I ended up connecting with the owner of Famous Dave's Barbecue at the time and working a catering job. I created a sales job for them for their catering division in the metro area. And then I got a real estate license in October 2015 was when it was official. So that was when I got into the business, and I was young. I was 21 and ready to take on the world and drive a BMW or something. I don't know.
And now, when did you get married?
Oh, Amanda, I've been married. So the first time was 14 in June. That was my first. Then I was actually talking to my love of my life husband about it the other day. There was a lot of drama at that wedding. If you ever want to, I had a very traditional big wedding, and it wasn't, like I said, I kept having I just felt like I would get to this place of like growth or whatever. And like, I always would feel kind of very like isolated. Like the person I was with wasn't who I was supposed to be with. And so I met in 2014, and I, thank goodness, divorced. Then I'm divorced and married again, and not married. I got married then in 2018, and then I was separated in 2019 because, like I said, same twice. And I think it was just mostly my parents were together my entire childhood, and they actually divorced when I was 25 when I was married to my second husband. And it's not my parents' fault that I got divorced. I don't mean that like by any, like they didn't force me or anything. I do think that because I didn't know what a healthy marriage looked like, I was just like, let's get married. And that was it. Like there was nothing else. So like when you continually involve the government in your affairs, it takes a lot of time and money and assets, but you do learn. I was telling my husband the other day, I'm like, you get the benefit of it all because like I have been married. I mean, June 2014 would have been my 10-year wedding anniversary. So you've only been married to me for 3 years, but I've done the time, I've gained the experience. And I think too, I have a unique perspective because I can totally tell like when my husband and I are maybe disagreeing about something. I'm also older too. Like my frontal lobe is more developed and fully developed at 30, you would hope. That I just can, you know what I mean? Like I've been married a couple of times before. Like you don't get so mad about your husband not doing the dishes. You know what I mean? Like when it's your third one, you're just like, yeah, man, it's fine. Right? You know what I mean? Or because honestly, if I wanted a man who was great at doing the dishes, that's who I would have married. And to me, I don't care if you want to do the dishes. You know what I mean? We all have sort of our levels of understanding. And I see, for example, like my mom kept a really clean house. Her mom keeps an immaculate house, super clean, like you could eat off the floor sort of thing. I am a horrible housewife. I'm an excellent cook, but like I need to hire that shit out. I can't do all of it. So instead of having this really unreasonable expectation on myself that I'm going to be this great housewife, like I'm just going to be who I am, I think that was the biggest part of that. And being married doesn't shackle you from learning. There's a lot of narrative out there that's like, you've got to be alone. If you're alone for 8 months, boop, you'll meet the love of your life. Like there's some sort of formula to aloneness, to love. And it doesn't make any sense to me at all because you definitely, let me tell you, being married to the wrong person twice, woo-hoo, there's lots of lessons there. You can really grow as a person so yeah, that's my little bit of the backstory. And then I met my now husband in 2020. And we have been married. It will be 3 years. I started crying. It'll be 3 years in February because like, I can't believe I love him so much. My last 2 marriages hit my first wedding anniversary. And I was like, I cannot do that again. And we were divorced shortly after. So like I'm in my 3rd wedding and I love him. Like I love him so much. So I feel very happy. And that too, I failed my way to success there. I didn't have good marriages. They weren't great twice. I mean, oh my God, hitting up your divorce attorney that many times at that age. And then, but I failed until I got it. And I'm really confident and happy that I got it now. I can't tell the future, but I know that I'm in a relationship with someone and it's very clear. It's easy to be resentful, but I choose, this is the person that I've chosen. When your life is what you've chosen and designed, you kind of treat it and take care of it better anyway. I'm not the same wife I was to my husband now as I was to my ex-husband. I didn't like my ex-husband, the middle one, but like I do feel bad that I married and spent a lot of time with somebody that I truly didn't love and cherish. Like I was more harsh and judgmental, and there was more of these dynamics that I had pulled in from what I was raised around versus what I actually thought and wanted. You know what I mean? Because you're like, if you're not intentional on what you want, you just get what you're used to. And if you're used to dysfunction, that's what you're going to keep getting.
So you mentioned you made the same mistake twice. What same mistake was that? Marrying wrong?
Marrying someone that it wasn't me calling the shots. It wasn't me who said, this is the man I want. Like, it was like, well, what does my mom want? What does my grandma want? And I didn't realize it. Like, when I say it now, it sounds, well, you should have known. Like, I didn't realize that was the problem. I hadn't honestly keep getting married and coming to these thresholds and being like, oh my God, I hate this. Why am I still here? And kind of seeing those. So the same mistake twice, I think, was just, you know, he makes money. He takes care of me. Oh, he does this. Because I think that was a lot of what my mom had told herself about my dad. My mom, he doesn't beat me, right? But like, okay, but you shouldn't be married, right? There's two, that's not it. Those aren't the two options, right? Like domestic violence or marriage. Like, fortunately, and you know, a lot of this is also time too. Like, it's only been 50 years today when we could get their own line of credit without a male signature, you know? So there's a lot of things at play here. That's what I think that it was. And not that my ex-husbands are necessarily bad people. Like, I don't wish anything harm on them. I don't think, like, we were mad. We had some mess and divorces and some words, both of them. Sorry. But like, it's fine. Like, I don't hold any like overarching resentment, because at the end of the day, if we were supposed to be together, we'd still be together. You know what I mean? Like, we obviously were supposed to learn from each other for a reason. So like, but thank God we don't have to be married anymore. Like, thank God we don't live in that time where I would have been forced to stay with you. Like, I could, and honestly, real estate has been such a wonderful career for me, because think about the privilege to be able to afford to get divorced twice. Like, that's hard and expensive. You know what I mean? To be able to have the freedom and the ability to actually be like, no, I'm just going to change my mind again and change your name. To be able to do all that is huge. So yeah, that's sort of what I mean with this mistake twice. And then just learning from those mistakes are really, truly where you find your power, I think.
I like how you mentioned you failed your way to success. You know, I never heard anybody talk about that in terms of relationships, but and with everything, that's so true, you know? And I used to be a divorce paralegal for 4 years. So I get even the mental turmoil. It's pricey. And, you know, so many people stay even outside of the priciness of divorce because of that security, like you mentioned. And even besides your mom, society for so long emphasized, like, you want a man to take care of you. So like but there's more than that. Like, thanks for the help. Do I love you? Like, genuinely, you know?
Well, do I like enjoy you and respect you? And like, honestly, and I'm not saying this was like his fault or my fault or anybody's fault, but like, I didn't respect my ex-husband at all. Like, we probably, when we got engaged, we probably should have broken up. Like, I remember sitting in therapy and he would be like, she doesn't tell me things. And I'd be like, I don't want to, but we should break up. Like, why didn't someone hit me in the head? And you know what I mean? But like with my husband now, I want to come to him. Of course I want to tell you things. Like, it's so in a lot of ways, he was right. My ex-husband would complain about me as a wife, and he was right. And to realize that and to be like, oh my God, maybe I am a bad wife, but maybe I'm not a bad person. And I could be a bad wife and a good person. And I could be a bad wife because of what's done and what's happened before, you know what I mean? And how I'm placing things and maybe my expectations. Because that's all it was, is I was like, oh, maybe this person will be the life that I want. And then I switched this mindset after, you know, October 2019, when I started the journal practice. And then in March 2020, I was like, I'm done. Like, this is how I'm now. This is what I used to do, and here's how I'm doing it now. I used to expect this or accept this from people, and I won't accept this anymore, you know, and then kind of just go from there. Sorry, there's my son is 7 months and back there yelling.
Now, so what's the journal practice you started in October 2019?
So the journal practice was Rachel Hollis, I think it is called the Dream Journal. She had you write 5 things you're thankful for, and then it was 10. This is what she does. And she did, I think she probably still does do it, but this was her, and she sold the journals, and it was around October 2019. And I was like, I'm ready to get my poop in a group. I'm like, let's get this together. So I started writing 5 gratitudes and 10 goals. And I have been doing that every day since. So it's been like over 1,850 days now. I haven't done every day. We're not perfect. I've been sick or had issues, but I've always picked it up back again. Like it's always just been, it was like that sort of one thing that I was like, okay, I can wake up every day and write what I'm thankful for. And I could be focused on what I want. And just doing that alone will bring my goals to me. So with the journal, I have quit smoking cigarettes. I quit drinking alcohol. I bought my own farm. I built my own company. I've made various income goals. I have had different relationship shifts and different things. And it's just every day that I still do it. So my journal's now green because we're for money now. But yeah, that's what I started. And it's been pretty crazy, like to have a habit go this long. I've never had anything that I've really done this long other than like being in my industry.
So it was ironic to me that you discovered and started working with her modalities around October 2019, because it was around the same time for me. I had heard about her 5 to Thrive. Do you know of those?
It sounds familiar, but remind me, because like I said,
so like the 5 things she recommends doing every day. One of them is like the gratitude or like the journal. And then one was like moving your body for 30 minutes, half your body weight in ounces of water, waking up an hour earlier and spending that time for you, and giving up one thing each month that isn't good for you. And like it was the last 90 days of the year. And I discovered that, I don't think it was the very October 1st, but that's what was the start of my fitness journey, with the 30 minutes of movement every single day. Because I was like, I can do 30 minutes of some type of movement, even if it's walking, even if it's whatever. Like it doesn't have to be, I didn't even have a gym membership. I never even stepped into a gym. Like I didn't even know anything about that, but I was like, I can move. And it changed so much for me.
And then I assume you kept it going through 2020 then as well, right? Like in the world.
Yep, I did. It was really what was the big catalyst for me, because it was something that was simple. I think so many people start off these new habits or these new goals, and it's so complicated. And it's like, our mind doesn't want to do it. It has that resistance just because it's complicated, like I had resistance to joining a gym because I had fear around like weights and getting hurt and whatever. So it's like, okay, but walking every single day for 30 minutes, I started to notice just feeling less out of breath, and it was something so simple.
Yep. And I think it's interesting too, because as I'm like taking notes as well to refer back to, like that it was the 5 to Thrive. It wasn't the gratitude journal. I just picked the gratitude journal because I said, I'm not going to do all of that. Like, that's what it was, because I was like, I need to do something that's foolproof, and we don't change. You don't just wake up one day and be able to do a full routine. And then like so many times, I didn't move today, I'm just not going to do move tomorrow. Like, what is that? You don't do it again. But especially like with my agents, when I'm coaching them and stuff too, it's very much like, what is your anchor habit? Because you can't change 6 habits at one time. You have to change them one at a time. So what's your anchor habit? My anchor habit is my journal. For another agent, it might be like reading for a minute. Well, actually, after I started my journal, I started the journal October 2019. When I quit smoking cigarettes in January 2020, I had a lot of time on my hands. So then I put reading. So then I would do journal and reading. And like, I had been reading every morning anyway. I had started reading in the morning when I was in production and sales in 2016 in real estate. Waking up and having a morning routine and reading wasn't crazy to me, but writing the gratitudes and then reading. And I read 70 books in 2020, self-help and business. And it was just like, you just got to keep going. And so then, I don't read 70 books now. I have 12 agents and 2 kids and got a construction project coming on and like a bunch of other things, those habits too. And that's another thing too. I choose to not beat myself up over the fact I don't read 70 books a year. Like if you're beating yourself up, chances are you're just going to do that. So if you're beating yourself up, stop, don't beat yourself up on what you're doing. Change how you're speaking to yourself first, because you can't beat yourself into changing. You have to like love yourself into that. I mean, I'm looking at my book. So since the beginning of the year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I'll probably read 13 to 14 books this year. That's a vast difference than 70. But like when I read 70 books, I had literally like was gone through my second divorce, and it was me and my dogs and my farm and selling real estate. So like that's all I did do was read books. It was COVID, guys. Like of course I read books. I'm sure you drink your water and did what you need to do because you did it, but in your brain the only one thing you executed was moving 30 minutes, and that's what you remembered, and that's what changed your life. And that's why Rachel Hollis has been so, I think, great in like how she's sold her books and kind of how she's helped with self-help, because there's definitely people who've been judgmental about her life too, but like she simplifies it. It's the truth, right? If you simplify the truth and you make it easy to digest, people will like, it's not, Rachel Hollis didn't invent self-help. She fails just like all of us do. You know what I mean? But I liked how she, because, you know, out of all those 5 things, even if you take any of those things, waking up 30 minutes earlier, but you don't necessarily move, or you don't necessarily do gratitude journal, that will also change your life. You know, if you give up one thing a month, that will change your life, even if you just take them on their own. So.
Yeah, I love everything you said there. And I love how you mentioned the anchor habit, you know, because that was something she really got into my head, was like, you can't change everything at once. You know, it was middle of October, I actually joined a gym, and I'll never forget, I started working with the trainer, and he's like, oh, we need to come up with this meal plan and this and that. And I'm like, buddy, I'm not doing that. And I was like, listen, we're not doing that. And he was like, you're not going to see success. You're not going to have progress. You're not going to lose weight. I was like, listen, you realize I have never meal prepped. I have never tracked food. I don't even know what the hell the macro is. You think right. I'm just going to start tracking macros because I entered the gym now and I tell you I have this. That's not going to work. And I was like, listen, I'll talk to you in 3 months. And in 3 months, I lost 32 pounds. And I was like, I didn't do all the crazy shit, you know, and I kind of want to say I like reversed a little bit her like give up one thing to be like more of a positive aspect. And I tried adding in like something positive. And for me, that was even just more protein, whatever type of protein. I wasn't tracking it because like more protein is something I kind of knew, not even knowing a lot about nutrition. Couldn't hurt me and would likely help me. So I'd add in more meat, and it was just adding in something good, you know? And I think that was a big catalyst for what helped me have the long lasting change, you know? Like there had been other times in my life that, oh, I lost lost 15 pounds, but would gain it back, you know? Whereas it was much more sustainable because you're not focusing on everything.
Yeah, then you're like, oh, I didn't do that. And I think the hustle culture kind of does a lot of that, like every day. And that's also like, you have to understand too, masculine versus feminine energy. Like we're just different creatures. We're different people. Like that was a big shift in 2019 too, was I just realized like, look, I am not like my male counterparts. I might be kind of a dude when it comes to business, and I might be able to duke it out with the rest of them or whatever, but like I'm a female. And I wake up different every single day. And I'm on a 28-day cycle. Like as much as I want to fit in with the dudes, that's just where my body is. And just like my male counterpart, he wakes up the same every day. He's really confused why I am so different every day. That seems odd to him, you know? So like, it's kind of just like, okay, so if I have this habit, and that's what's nice about the journal, is the journal doesn't have to be under 4 a.m. The journal can be done at noon or at 1, or if you forget and you pick it up or whatever, like and we know our differences, right? This is just getting to know ourselves. Are you blowing off your alarm because you're exhausted and beat and need to rest? Then you should rest. Are you blowing up your alarm because you're trying to avoid something, right? Like, but we can't, you know what I mean? But sometimes like our bodies, and like I said, especially with the female energy, it goes up and down all the time. We have a week where we're on top of the world, and then the next week is the worst. And that's actually a wonderful creative energy, and we can use it. And that doesn't negate us for being in business. I would even argue that it gives us a place because of that ability to harness that big long cycle of energy and learning how to do it. Like my ability to work and get things done and delegate has just gotten so much better just because I like know and understand. I'm not trying to do it all myself, you know, like this is what I am and this is what I need. And I'm going to need support in these other ways because I don't show up the same every day. So what can I show up and do? And what do I need to like delegate? And what makes sure that I'm like centered and knowing what I need to know? And that's a journal. Writing what your gratitude and what you're focused on. Like those are the things you should always have banging around in your head, right?
So what would you say the journal practice helped you achieve the most, like the biggest accomplishment?
There's not like probably the biggest one was I have my own farm now. I would do things like I would write around like I am connected and respected. And then I would be like, okay, I'm going to meet and then I would meet people that will connect me. It was just like little things and shifts that I just wanted to work on in my consciousness and who I was. Because the biggest groundbreaking thing would be the smoking. Because I had smoked since I was 17 and I was like a pack a day smoker. I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm going to have a cigarette with my friends that when I smoke. I'm like a chimney or a train, especially when I would have a glass of wine. It was all night. I loved smoking, but I'm not a smoker. Like it's weird. You could be both. I remember looking as I would smoke a cigarette and be like, I will never be able to give you up. Like I just didn't think I could do it. Then I tried. I would throw away my cigarettes. I probably would quit. If you're a smoker who's trying to quit, you probably try to quit twice a year and then it's a day, you're back at it. But the difference was this time was I had picked a date, which I had done before. And then it was January 3rd because my birthday is January 2nd. So like who wants to do resolutions on your birthday? Lame. So the last time I smoked was my birthday. And yeah, I picked a date and then I had been writing in my journal already in October, right? So I just started writing. I'm not a smoker. And then after a while, it was hell full days, but then after you just get used to writing it, you just realize I'm not a smoker anymore. Like the urge went away. Every time I had quit before, it had been like I was trying to force myself to not want to quit. And this time I had just slowly become someone who didn't smoke. So being able to see myself change something that I didn't think I could change, just everything since then has been different. Because now I just changed what I know. I quit smoking. I met my husband. I quit drinking alcohol. We moved to a beautiful farm in Longmont where we raised and loved on his 2 kids. My daughter was born there. We had a beautiful farm wedding. It's just been, it's been pretty incredible. What you get when you quit things is also just as much as sometimes as you get when you do things, right? Like you still, when you quit smoking cigarettes but then you pick up the book too, right? Like those aren't the same, but they're like two sides of the same thing. And then I think that was also it too, being having something to replace it with. Like it's when I want to smoke, when I go read a book or something.
Can you say that again about when you quit things? I loved that comment.
When you quit things, it can be the same as when you add things on. Like the quitting and the reading were like two sides of the same coin for replacing it out. But putting something down is just as powerful as picking something up.
Loved that, Jem. Loved that. And I love how you mentioned also replacing it with something else. That I think is really key. That's something that's even kind of a different aspect, but I even did in terms of food. Instead of giving up XYZ, replacing it with something else, because our minds, if we tell ourselves we can't have X, you want X. Just because in psychology, it's like you can't have the thing, even back to when you were a kid. Like mom says you can't have the candy bar. You want that candy bar even more because she said you can't have it.
Right. Well, and I too, I didn't have specific weight loss, but I had some sort of things that I wanted to be able to fit into and whatnot. Then I didn't want to diet because I did keto and stuff before. Like I said, that really forcing, I didn't want to do that anymore. So instead, and it wasn't because I didn't have a ton, that's why I don't talk about it, because it wasn't a weight loss journey. People are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I know, I'm not saying that I'm a weight loss person. I have a high metabolism. I know. But I would eat, if it was healthy, I would eat 2 servings if I was hungry. And then if it was unhealthy, I would try to eat a half serving instead. So trying to make that conscious decision of, okay, I'm going to enjoy what I want, but I'm going to eat a half of what I should because I'm still going to get the sweet and then I'm not going to get all of the extra calories. And then there's something that I do want to eat and I was going off of intuitive eating. So if I craved it, so if I wanted fish, what kind of fish do I want? What do I want to eat? Okay, great. Fish I can have a lot of, so I can eat as much fish as I want. So when I'm ordering sushi, I'll have a bunch of sushi, right?
No, I gotcha. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I love the aspect of all of that, and I think it's helpful to like just not have the mindset that you're restricting, and also even kind of something you said made me think of, I tried the weight loss journey for so long and I was always like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to lose this. It was finally this time around that I was just like, I don't have any specific number goals, and even that same personal trainer was like, how much weight do you want to lose? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, she's like, what do you mean you don't know? And I'm like, listen, I want to look better. I want to feel better. Like, that's where I'm starting. I'm not starting with, I have to lose this much weight by this date. I don't want to look the way I look. I don't want to feel the way I feel. That's where I'm at, and I think there's got to be a balance with goals, with how specific you are, because sometimes we can get so attached to, I didn't hit this by X date, whereas I lost 32 pounds in 3 months because I had no timeline for it. I had never seen that much of a weight loss journey, but every other time I said it's going to happen by this date, or it's going to be this much by this month. And it's like we put this pressure on ourselves, and then we almost set ourselves up for the disappointment if it doesn't happen. But it's, what difference does it make if you lose the weight by December 31st versus if you lose the weight by February 29th? Like, you still did it.
Right. And I think just understanding too, like, there is a better, higher power than us. Like, we are not just here on our own, and understanding, okay, if it's not happening now, there's a better timing, and being okay with that timing and being okay with the timing of your life. Because what I've been finding too is the answer is not necessarily no. Oftentimes the answer is not yet. So many times have I thought I missed out on something, and then I just got it later, and then I looked like such a dweeb because I was so butthurt I didn't get it. I just was impatient.
That is so true. No, that's happened to me in a lot of areas of life. I do the journal myself as well. And even like for the longest time, I had always wanted to work in a law office as a paralegal. And I had different law offices not give me the job because of not having experience. And something I always wrote was, I work full time in a law office, because then I finally got an opportunity, but it was a part-time position. I was so mad. I was mad at the world. I was like, they didn't give me the full-time position, that they gave it to somebody else. And it was a year later that I then got offered a full-time position in a different area of law that I liked even better. And it was like, Amanda, it wasn't right yet. It's not that it wasn't for you. It's just not right now.
Not right now. Exactly. And like, you wouldn't, if what you had wanted would have worked out, you wouldn't have necessarily been where you had been. If I would have been like, when I got into real estate, I really wanted to be rookie of the year. Really wanted to sell a bunch of real estate. I wanted to be this like whiz kid that just sold a bunch of houses. It's not how real estate works, especially when you're young. When you get licensed young, it's 2 years, no matter who you are. It takes a minute. And then like, when you're young, you have to like build it up. I just wish I would have known. If I would have been that rookie of the year top producing agent, would I have opened my own company? Would things have gone the way they have been? Like this, I'm now so confident, and it took time to do this. It's not like you're got hit in the head by God or something. I just decided that I was going to live a life that this was divine timing. This was the way it's supposed to happen, and it will happen for me. And as long as I keep my eye on the prize and I have faith that it's going to happen, it's all going to come out and work into fruition. And realizing too, I just celebrated my 9 years in real estate on the 19th of October. And like 9 years ago, I said, I will open my own business. I will open my own real estate brokerage. And the likelihood of that happening from when you're in real estate school, everybody says that. Less than 1% of people do open a company. Actually, only 8% of people who get licensed are in the business in 2 years, producing and making money. Much less going on and opening a business. I'm not affiliated with any major corporation. I'm not a Keller Williams team or Coldwell Banker, Remax. I am my own Motion Homes group, independently owned by me, run in my room, because I don't want corporations to be running my industry. Like they shouldn't. It should be the agents, the individuals. And so just realizing that while I feel like, and I know I have so much to go ahead of me, being so thankful and grateful for that vision that I had 9 years ago, that I'm here now. Because if I would have sold a bunch of houses, maybe I wouldn't have gotten into management, because that would have been a lot of money and a lot of time. It would have taken a ton of time away from me, and it's taken time for me to build this business. Just understand that your life is divine timing, and you being aware that it's divine timing or not doesn't change the fact that it is.
You mentioned you started smoking at 17. How old were you when you stopped? Like, how long did you smoke for?
26. So 9 years.
Oh, shit. Okay. That's a long time.
Yes. And I was a very cool teenager. It was my tongue was like going black. I was like, it's time for me to let that go. And I think that's one of the hardest things for us to do, because no matter what, that cigarette was always there. And for me to break up with it and be like, I don't need you to live my life. Like, it hurts, but I got it, and that's just such an empowering thing to see. Cause like I said, even when I go to the store now and I see them, and oh my God, cigarettes are $11 a pack. Like, I would have been forced to quit. Let me tell you, like when I quit, it was only like $6. And I thought that was ridiculous. I think I paid as much as they were now on like a resort in Hawaii once or something. Like, they're very expensive now. But yeah, that's one of the best things you can ever do is quit.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned that about quitting. Sometimes it's even more powerful or just as powerful. And keeping the faith in the divine timing. I love how you mentioned earlier about how some people like her, some people have their feelings about her. I posted looking to speak to people about her and got quite a bit of backlash about the fact that I was looking to talk about her and people disagreeing with her and some of her beliefs, mindset, whatever. And, one of the biggest things I try to emphasize in terms of all these public figures in the self-help realm is take what works for you. Take what resonates with you. Is she perfect? No, especially these famous people. They've got their baggage. We've all done our shit, but even more so, they're in the public eye. If she has a gem or a nugget, or somebody has a gem or a nugget that works with you, take it and run with it. Like, who cares that it's her that mentioned last 90 days? I listened to a Mel Robbins podcast, and she talked about the benefits of setting your goals starting in September. Okay, she didn't call it last 90 days. It's the same fucking concept.
Right.
So take what resonates with you.
Exactly. I'm so triggered by Rachel Hollis and the fact that she got divorced, that you can't listen to her mindset, then read another author. The point is to get better, right? Like, she's going to be better. Like, it's fine. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't really, because I just sort of read overall, you know what I mean? And Rachel Hollis has really great books that are awesome to read and are affordable. Like, they're great and they're accessible, and I think they help. So I think this is a great topic to have, and a little controversy never hurt anybody. So
I completely agree. And so I had a few people even message me privately, like, she thinks she's better than everybody, and it's like, I feel like a lot of famous people do.
A lot of people
do. A lot of people in general do, but even more so these people that are famous, making all this money, doing all these things. Okay, yeah, they have some egotistical shit, but if there's something that she says or somebody says and it helps you progress, take it and run with it. Let it shift you.
I was like, I don't have a personal relationship with Rachel Hollis, right? But I think there's a lot of value to be said of writing down 5 goals and 10 gratitudes. That's huge. So, and if you, like you said, take what resonates, like you're like all the cool kids say, I don't know.
I even say that with me, like listening to the podcast, you might not agree with everything I say, but like if I say something that resonates with you and could help you, fuck it, use it. And if you don't like the rest, leave it. Take what works, pick it up, and leave the rest for somebody else.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. I loved this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Now, have you heard of a man named Jay Shetty?
I have.
So
he's think like a monk.
Yes. So he's got a podcast called On Purpose, and he ends it with 2 segments, and I end mine with the same. First one is the many sides to us. 5 questions, and they've got to be answered in 1 word each.
Hey.
What is 1 word someone who is meeting you for the first time would use to describe you as?
Tall.
What is 1 word that someone who knows you extremely well would use to describe you as?
I don't want to use fiery again. Someone who knows me well. Probably kind.
What is 1 word you'd use to describe yourself?
Focused.
What is 1 word that if someone didn't like you or agree with your mindset would use to describe you as?
Bitchy.
What is 1 word you're embodying right now?
Abundance.
Then the second segment is the final 5. 5 questions, and they can be answered in up to a sentence. What is the best advice you've heard or received?
We're all dying anyway. We can't take it when you go, like.
Why is that the best advice?
Because we're just here temporarily, so we shouldn't be afraid of doing anything.
I love that. What is the worst advice you've heard or received?
I wonder what X or so-and-so will think about this. Doesn't matter.
What is something that you used to value that you no longer value?
Being close to like cities, like that sort of thing.
If you could describe what you would want your legacy to be if someone was reading it, what would you want it to say?
That I would hope that everybody I loved always lives so fearlessly and authentically at their highest and best self.
If you could create 1 law in the world that everyone had to follow, what would it be?
Oh, no one would be able to lie. It would be great.
Why would that be your law?
The world would fall apart. Oh, everybody lies all the time to us. It's great. That's why the truth is so powerful. Because
that's fair. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you speaking with me. And now, where can the listeners connect with you?
I am online. My website is motionhomesgroup.com. I have a Motion Homes Group Facebook page. I'm on Instagram, Megan Bello 0102. And I'm also Megan Bello on Facebook. Send me a friend request. I still have some available. And as always, I'm available on my cell phone, 720-393-0673.
Awesome. I will put all of that in the show notes. And I do like to give it back to the guests. Do you have any final words of wisdom, anything you want to leave the listeners with?
You can do anything that you can imagine. Just get it done, and don't. What people think about you is none of your business.
Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Yes, I appreciate you. I thought we could do this now.
And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Manda's Mindset. Hey guys, Manda's here with some key takeaways from my impactful conversation with Megan. Megan and I emphasized the importance of anchoring in on 1 habit, embracing a simple grounding habit every single day. Whatever that is, whether it's gratitude, movement, in something that you can do no matter what the circumstances are. And this habit is something that will keep you focused and steady to stay the course. Me, for example, I knew I could get 30 minutes of movement in every day, even if, God forbid, that was me walking around my apartment at the time for 30 minutes. What is that habit for you that you confidently can do every day? Also, we emphasize the importance of divine timing and trusting that what's meant for you will come at the right time, even if it doesn't happen right away. Sometimes no means not right now. It doesn't mean never. Having patience with your goals is really important, because if you don't achieve it on the first time, are you going to stop and give up? No. You want to keep pushing forward, and they might take time to come into fruition, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Failure is when you stop. Failure is not if it doesn't happen, if you don't achieve the goal right away. Failure is stopping, because then you're never going to achieve the goal. And we also emphasized about gratitude and visualization. Focusing on gratitude and visualizing 10 goals really helped Megan stay committed and conquer her challenges. It helped her quit smoking after 9 years. And gratitude is a great place to start, because something I always say is we all have something to be grateful for. If you're listening to me right now, you have internet. You have the ability to hear what I'm saying. You have the ability to listen to a podcast, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, Overcast, whatever your platform of choice is, or if you're watching me visually. Not everybody, even in other countries, have that luxury. Again, there's always something to be grateful for. And I think that's a really great place to start, because it's like the quote from Tony Robbins. You can't be angry and grateful simultaneously. It just doesn't work. So your life is bound to improve and your mindset is bound to shift if you focus on gratitude. So I encourage you, if you are torn or not sure what that one habit should be, let it be gratitude. When Megan shifted her perspective to embrace gratitude and have patience and trust the process, she found herself better able to handle all of life's challenges that it started to throw at her. And lastly, I really hope this is the main thing you guys take away from everything I have ever said to you. A few people were a little surprised that I was looking to record a podcast discussing some of the modalities that Rachel Hollis used and talked about, because some people have their mixed feelings about her. Some people have their mixed feelings about me. As I always say, you're not for everybody and neither am I. But here's the deal. Take the gems that resonate with you and leave the rest. If me talking about shifting your mindset, it sounds stupid as fuck to you, don't think about shifting your mindset. Hell, maybe rephrase the words. Whatever works for you to help you progress and move the needle forward, do that. It all comes back. We're here, then we're not. So take what I say that resonates with you and use it. Use it to breathe into new life. And the shit that I say that you're like, this chick is batshit crazy, don't listen to it. Keep going. There will be so many people in your life, whether it's famous people, friends, colleagues, that you don't agree with everything they say. And if you did, it would be boring. We don't all want to be the same. So take what works, what helps you shift internally, and anything that doesn't make sense, leave it. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Mander's Mindset. And I would appreciate it if you'd leave me a rating, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, positive or negative. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And share this episode with anyone you think would benefit from it. Thanks, guys. Until next time. In case no one told you today, I'm proud of you. I'm rooting for you. And you got this. As always, if you enjoyed the show, I would really appreciate it if you would leave me a 5-star rating, leave a review, and share it with anyone you think would benefit from this. And don't forget, you are only one mindset shift away from shifting your life. Thanks, guys. Until next time.